Hello, and on the gaming table today we're taking another look at a Warmaster battle for a scenario I've been doing, an unbalanced scenario. This is the third or fourth time I've run through this. I had a table set up recently for a different game, and then I thought, well, I could have another go at the Warmaster scenario while the table's set up. So I set up the Tomb Kings on the attack and the Norse on the defense, and let's take a look and see how it goes. So here you can see the first moves from the Tomb Kings getting started, moving most things up, although they had a brigade in the middle there that failed in order. The Tomb Kings have got 2,000 points, predominantly infantry and cavalry, only a couple of war machines there that you can see, and they're going up against 1,500 points of Norse. So the situation here is the undead, the Tomb Kings, are trying to break through here. There are two orange markers you can see on the Norse line here. Those are objectives for the Tomb Kings to try and take, and there's actually another one off the bottom of the screen as well. So the Tomb Kings are trying to breach the line here and break through. In the Norse turn, they just moved some cavalry and flyers off to the side there. Tomb Kings moving up in their second turn now. Again, they had a failure in the middle here with one brigade that didn't get to move very far. But generally speaking, they're moving forward en masse here. And it'll be interesting to see when they get into combat how they go with, the raised deads affecting things, whether their chariots can get in and things like that. If you want to see the descriptions of the two armies, I've put them in the description of the video here. Okay, in the Norse turn here, thinking about whether or not to stage kind of a preemptive charge here, but decided against it, and in the end decided to move the cavalry units here on the left back behind the hill here a little bit. To keep them out of the way, especially of shooting, because the front of all these skeleton brigades here, they've got archers in the front and spears at the back. Tomb Kings moving up here again. I think the brigade that just moved there had a failed order, so they only got a half-pace move. I forgot to move the flyers with a home back, so I just did that quickly. Playing all this solo, obviously. I have to remember everything. Here, the Skull Chuckers were getting up, and with the next brigade I moved up a little later, it was kind of funneling the Skull Chuckers here in a second so that they could fire down a funnel, basically. And that just gives the Skull Chuckers clear line of sight to the War Mammoth there to have a go at it. The Tardy Brigade at the back there being commanded by the Tomb King, managing to get back up into line. So at this stage, 3 turns in, things looking pretty formidable here. The Tomb Kings only have 8 turns to achieve their objectives, which is to get through the Norse line and take at least 2 or 3 of the objectives. The Norse can't be broken. They don't suffer breakpoint in the same way, but the Tomb Kings can be. In the Norse turn here, thinking about whether or not to go forward, homed back with the Valkyries there, then moved the cavalry up, put them in flank charge position, and had a go at a flank charge, which came off. Then decided not to throw the Valkyries into the front because with the cavalry just on the edge there, they're only actually fighting 2 stands and there's no support for the skeletons there. Felt fairly confident about going in with the flank charge there because Shaman has had Eye of the Raven up, so I can re-roll a d6 if needed to, but didn't actually need to for that command. Here, just moving the Storm Giant back a little so he's not going to get targeted by shooting too much, waiting for the counter charge opportunity. And then the cavalry here managed to get into the skeletons here, took out some stands on both units after a couple of rounds of combat. And then from that, did a fallback move and put themselves into this position, which was relatively advantageous. Couldn't get out of charge arc, but it meant that only 1 skeleton unit could actually charge me in the coming turn on a single order. So here in the 4th turn, 1 skeleton cavalry unit goes in. Tried to get another skeleton cavalry unit here in on the flank, but failed the order. Moving the infantry up. Pretty much across the line here, wanting to get lots of shooting and things going on. Had a blunder in the middle of the field here. Had to look up the table to see what happened. So they ended up breaking up the brigade. They had to move forward against 2 different closest enemies. Then the next brigade here managed to charge in, hoping to get some raised deads off here to affect these combats. Skull Chuckers once again going up. Okay, in shooting, a little bit of shooting, pushed back the War Mammoth and confused it. And then with other units, managed to push them back a little bit, but no confusion caused as a result. Trying to cast the Raised Deads. Only got one off, which was with the Cavalry on the side here, but the other Lich Priests didn't manage to get their Raised Deads off. The Cavalry died pretty quickly, and a little bit of reforming there. And then the other big combat here, with no Raised Deads in the back, these Huscarls and Huntsmen and Bondsmen were going to be pretty hard to shift from a defended position. And that's pretty much the way it proved. After the casualties got taken off here, the Norse decided to pursue down the hill. Now that they're off the hill, the Norse are being hit on a 4+, rather than a 5+, and so they actually took some casualties, pushing the skeletons back there through. Then after that, withdrew back up the hill. It's the Norse turn next, and so they decided to put one unit into the flank here. So it can do a flank charge on initiative, and that's the Bondsmen, and the Huscarls will just go in at the front. So in the Norse turn, charging in there, just figuring out where that last stand should go. Decided over here to have a go as well. Sent the Huscarls in first. They've got their better armor save there, and then the Berserkers go in second. So that combat should go the Norse way there. Couple of hits taken, stand and shoot on the way in though. With the Valkyries here, homed them back after initiative and then ordered them in to behind the Tomb King line, and then did a charge move, charge order. Again, having Eye of the Raven up, so that extra reroll of a d6 really helps if you're going with those less likely orders. Unfortunately for the giant here, he moved up, failed his next order. He didn't go anywhere after that, so he's probably going to get charged on the next turn. A little bit of shooting there, did nothing to the cavalry, and then we're into combat. Now, the Shaman there, he moved up and did Spite of Loki, the red marker there in the middle of the table, so that's going to mess things up for the Tomb Kings in a future turn, hopefully. The Norse infantry there making short work of the undead, although one stand did survive. It fell back away from the most enemy, which was actually up the hill, and then the Norse fell back, doing pretty good on their fallback rolls. So they managed to get kind of up on the hill again. The other combat over here, charging in, lots of damage done. Did lose a stand of Huscarls though. Pursuing, Berserkers have to pursue, and then the rest of the Norse units go in. Second round of combat, lots more damage done, but the units weren't completely annihilated, so the Berserkers didn't have a chance to advance from here. So the best the Berserkers could do would pursue, but because there was nothing in the engagement directly in front of them, they were able to pursue into this position here, which was behind the line, basically. The Valkyries made short work of the damaged cavalry, had to go at another unit of cavalry, did quite a bit of damage to them as well, took them out, and then after that had a fallback move to try and stay out of charge arcs, basically. Okay, at this stage, the Tomb Kings are taking quite a few casualties. You can see at the top of the screen there, they're taking about 8 on their break, so they're not looking that good. The cavalry failed to charge at the flank of the Valkyries. Skeletons here going in against the giant. Put the Carrion in behind it, so if the giant retreats more than a centimetre, it'll die. Tried to charge with the cavalry over here, had a blunder. Actually, they couldn't go anywhere, but another unit here did manage to get in with the Sphnix and some cavalry, again putting the Carrion in behind to block the retreat. Moving the Skull Chuckers to get some shots at the Valkyries there. Valkyries got driven back there. I actually forgot to shoot at them with the Chariots, which were right next to them, but oh well. But the Valkyries confused. In the combat there, the skeletons lost to the giant. They had 3 support, but that wasn't enough to overcome the damage done by the giant. The giant pursued, beat up a unit of skeleton archers, and then fell back. Oh, actually, no, sorry, both sides moving there. Combat was a draw, and the giant had to go back first. That's right, it was a draw in the second round of combat. Over here, the Bondsmen got beaten up, and they had to run away. The Huscarls are still surviving there with a single stand, and so they get advanced into here by the Sphnix. They weren't actually part of that original combat, the way supports work, and they get eliminated by the Sphnix. So the undead have claimed one of the victory kind of locations, but then they get countercharged by the War Mammoth. There's initiative charge by the Giants. Here in the middle, one unit of Huscarls just had enough to reach some of the skeletons there, and then sent one unit of Bondsmen into the Carrion. That basically blocks line of sight so that the other unit of Bondsmen can go into the skeletons there. The Ulfwerener, I decided to leave them in the town there. They didn't want to charge up the hill into those skeleton bowmen. And so here, the Norse are basically hoping to do enough damage to take the Tomb Kings to their breakpoint. War Mammoth did his job, took out a couple of stands of Carrion, that's half a point. Over the other side here, the Berserkers against the flank of the Chariots managed to do the same thing, take out 2 stands, half a breakpoint. And then in the center here, the big combat in the middle, managed to take out most of the bowmen, all but 1 stand there. And then in the pursuit, managed to finish that unit of bowmen off. Didn't manage to kill the skeleton infantry, but did do a couple of stands there, so that's another half a breakpoint. And then finally here with the Carrion in the center of the table. Lots of damage done in the first round of combat, pursuit, and then finishes them off here. And so that's taken the Tomb Kings to their breakpoint. So that's the game. So yeah, the Norse pretty tough there on the counter charge. They basically just waited, defended, and the Tomb Kings didn't get off enough raised dead spells there. The dice and the raised deads didn't go their way. But yeah, sometimes that's just the way it goes. I think if the Tomb Kings had gotten off raised deads, the Norse would have lost a couple more units, but maybe the Tomb Kings, yeah, they were taking a lot of casualties on the counter charge, and so maybe the Norse would have had them anyway. Anyway, hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.